What's up, everybody? It's your boy Flash from ALWT Gaming, standing for At Least We Try Gaming. I am your boy again, Flash, from Malachi 36, here with Mill Dewey Carrot for episode 70, man. How are you doing today?
Life. Can't complain.
Can't complain. Make that money. Make that shmoney. Do you feel me? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we want to appreciate you guys for tuning in and for hanging out with us on this long endeavor through 2021 of us streaming and just being stupid, but also having fun and give you guys gaming news and our thoughts about them and all that good stuff. The way that I don't think I've ever really explained this, and I want to make sure that this is explained for the general public, as especially if you guys are watching on Anchor and wondering, like, why are we still in season 1? When is season 2 going to happen? Season 2 is going to happen when 2022 starts. All right, so every episode is just counting up until the end of 2021, and then January, that first ALWT Things Gaming that's going to happen is going to be episode 1 of season 2 for ALWT Things Gaming. And then we're just going to move on to that annually for as long as we can, as long as we want to, as long as we can go. So with that being said, we also appreciate our Spotify listeners, and again, anyone that supports us on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, and all that good stuff. Mildew Carrot, how have you been? What have you been playing? What's new with you in the gaming world?
Oh, not much. Just I had to take a break from it for a bit because I played too much Civ 6 recently. I kind of jumped back into that, and let me just tell you, those AIs, when you go up in difficulty, are not nice to you. They can be very mean.
I believe it.
So yeah, but I finally got some wins in, and I was like, you know what? I gotta stop because I went about 12 hours without eating or drinking.
Ooh, that's not
good. Yeah, I was like, gotta take a step back here. So other than that, just been having fun, chillaxing, gaming. Gonna probably pick up some of my Die Young here coming soon and try and get through that. So, and yeah, just enjoying it. Waiting for another Steam sale for sure.
Yeah, that's actually the last story that we have on today. So if you guys are want to look for those Steam sales and deals, yep, there you go. It's not like you have the dock or anything, you know what I mean? So if you guys want to know more about those deals, you guys want to stick around for it. We got a lot of stories and news to cover today. Full disclaimer: if Mildewy Carrot disconnects, is because the system is restarting. After the update, the Java update, and if that does happen, you guys will hear about my meals until he gets back. But until then, we're just going to go ahead and try to blow through some of these news and give you guys some good updates, because again, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch new plan disaster. We're going to be talking about the unexpected PlayStation event that's happening tomorrow, and we're also going to talk about more Horizon Forbidden West and more, because again, this is At Least We Try Gaming, where we every Tuesday 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we give you guys a little rundown, breakdown, thoughts, gaming news, all that good stuff. So starting off with story number 1.
You mean the planned disaster? That was a planned disaster?
Yeah, the planned. So before I even read this, because again, this is coming from 2 different sources. There's an A and a B. There is one from Ethan Gotch from Kotaku, and then Connor Sheridan from Games Radar. Both of them don't really have exactly the greatest news to put on the Nintendo Switch event. We talked about this a little bit off stream, and to be completely honest with you, I kind of saw this coming. Like, I wasn't expecting anything crazy to now. All right. Let me backtrack a little bit. Let me be nice. Okay. So when new plans, software, and everything like that first hit the stream, it's expected that it's going to have some bugs. It's expected that it's going to have some issues and some delays. That's just normal human nature, and that we learn from that. We try to progress on it. That's why patches exist. All right. This, to me, in my personal opinion, was a disaster from the get-go, because there was no mention of a remaster. There was nothing that was unique about this other than you could just play your Nintendo 64 games on your Switch portably. That is it, as well as like they're incorporated online play. Why is that to me? Why would that be worth the increase by $30 from the normal annual plan in value? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Because that's your childhood you're getting back.
No, they are profiting off of the nostalgia heavily. I'm not saying that you can't profit on nostalgia, because Final Fantasy VII did that for me with the 7 remake. Even though technically they're really two entirely different games, but still, it tugged on my heartstrings because that's such an important game to me, and they've done something with it. It looks stellar, it looks amazing. This is literally taking the same exact game that you probably paid full price for, and just bringing it to current use now that you don't even own the game. You're just streaming it for as long as you have the service. So, I digress. But anyway, going on over to part one of this is that Ethan Gotch from Kotaku quotes, Nintendo 64 games finally become officially playable on Nintendo Switch Online last night, and they run ... less than stellar. Almost immediately, social media starts filling up with examples of technical shortcomings, emulation woes, and the button layouts that provoke. Oh yeah, that was another thing which we'll talk about in a minute. The button layouts that prove there is no God. I did not read.
He was saying he was gonna say no good, but he's like, nope. They're like, no, there's no God.
Yeah, I read that a couple of times. I was like, wow, okay. It once again calls into question what exactly are people getting in exchange for the Switch Online's new premium price tier. To recap, Nintendo announced the expansion pack for the existing $20 a year Switch Online subscription service back in September, quietly revealing the price only recently during the Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct. In exchange for upgrading to $50 a year, players get access to 9 Nintendo 64 games, 14 Sega Genesis games, and the upcoming Happy Home Paradise DLC for New Horizons. More than doubling the price of the subscription seemed a bit ridiculous, but at the same time, people really wanted to play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on their portable Switches. Fast forward to a little over a week after their price reveal, it looks like Ocarina of Time and later and other late 90s games are running less than perfectly on the modern hardware. Speedrunner ZFG1 shared a collection of screenshots comparing the game's infamous water temple across the original 64, the Wii U Virtual Console, and the latest version of the game. Fog, draw distances, and water textures are all worse on the Switch versions. Quote, it might actually be worse than the Wii U VC, end quote, VFG1 wrote on Twitter. That's part one. Let's go to part two, and then I'm going to give the mic to you, because I'm already getting that hot. I'm already at that danger level, but let's go ahead and go on over to, let's see what Connor has to say from Games Radar. It says, Nintendo Switch Online N64 games have gone live, but the way to play classic games hasn't made the transition entirely without issue. The new set of 9 games went live via latest Nintendo Switch system update earlier today, and Eurogamer immediately noticed some issues upon putting them on their paces, through their paces. One of the most glaring issues come from Mario Kart 64, which repeatedly displays a warning message that it won't be able to save ghost data (parentheses) that is a playthrough of the previous races, which you can more directly compete against (end parentheses) without an N64 controller pack. This is an authentic error to the original version of the game, but there's not much players can do with that if they're playing on the Switch. This is probably the first time many people playing have even thought about the now forgotten concept of dedicated memory cards for game saves, or at least the first time in a decade or so. The only way to fix the issue will be Nintendo to make some tweaks to how it handles emulating Super Mario 64 on Switch and story. So I'm going to shut up right now, and I'm going to give it on over to you, Mildewey. So you're talking about the poor performance of this porting, and then you're also talking about, which is the part two, talking about a specific game that is giving you an error message saying, hey, you can't save your game, you can't play X, Y, and Z because you don't have an N64 pack, but you're playing on the Switch. Enlighten me, oh wise man.
It sounds like they just did a copy and paste of the whole base coding.
They copied and pasted, dude.
Like, first off, the biggest notification of that is saying you don't have the N64 pack thing, which means it's not reading right. So they didn't go in and try and change anything. any coding to direct in, which, to be honest, is kind of odd that I thought that they had this. All right, so this is me saying I thought that they had this. Obviously, they had nothing because you're talking about an old game engine here, and you would think that they would have already written it to where the newer graphics cards could handle it, and to where the newer systems could save with it and interact with it. Obviously, they didn't know that. The crashes with the games and all, and saying it looks worse and better, is because a lot of times it's with the evolution of the technology. That's why a lot of times when you see PC games, these old games that people have, they can't play unless they emulate a certain system, because it won't work on the newer ones, because they don't have either features that were written into the older systems are no longer written now, that are outdated. Graphics cards won't be able to handle the graphics because they're either too powerful for it, like they have no way of like really toning it down and going back that far, because we're talking like old, almost like 16 bit pixels, or very low color schemes, RGB colors. Nowadays we're used to this just boom, like the whole spectrum of everything with the I forgot the naming of it. It's like FFAA, something like that. It's a hashtag number coding system they use for like the whole spectrum of colorations that you can get now, plus more. Like, it surprises me that they did not take any of these steps. They just did a full copy and paste to try and get money out of it. So it's also bad when they say it worked better on the old Wii system, which no one really liked.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but it's not working, guys.
I do
you're
want
making a lot of people. You're making a lot of people upset, is what you're doing.
I do want to throw
I wasn't
something
counting
out.
you at all.
I did want to throw out something on here. I just went ahead and looked it up, and I guess there are apparently 7 Nintendo consoles, including the Switch, that are currently out. But I'm going to go ahead and go through. I went to the Wikipedia, and here's all the versions of Nintendo that's out. Color TV game, that was a 1977 game. That was a home console. Then you have Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Nintendo GameCube, Wii, Wii U, and then the Switch. Going on over to the handheld version, you have Game & Watch series. Then you have Game Boy, Virtual Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch Lite. And that's not, of course, not counting the OLED. When I'm looking through this, so I do a quick scan. Nintendo 64 came out in 1996. All right, that's when it came out. So everything that came out after that was Nintendo GameCube, the Wii U. We're going to include the Switch, so that was in there after that. We have 1996. So Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, and that's it. So that's 8 consoles that came out after the Nintendo Switch. I mean, after the N64 came out, right? I don't understand why they're not taking that into consideration. You can't just simply copy and paste something that is 8 generations old. 8.
Yep.
Ocho. I don't get it. So I don't know. And that's kind of what I felt like was going to happen. That's why I've been, even if you guys listen to podcasts before this with us, which you guys are encouraged to take a look at on our Twitch or YouTube. On Twitch, it might be a little like archived now, but if you guys go to YouTube, just type in ALWT Gaming, or at least we try gaming. You guys will see our archive, our history there. You guys will see that I wasn't on board with this from the get-go, because they're not doing anything special here. They're literally copying the N64 era games and just putting it on today's consoles, expecting you to pay $30 more annually not to own the game. I disagree with that. I'm not with that.
I agree with you. Not only that, but the last comment made by Connor about the only fix to the issue would be to make some tweaks to how to handle emulating Super Mario 64 on Switch, tweaking how they would emulate the engine. My thing about that is Nintendo has been very anti-emulating.
Oh,
And they've been very anti-emulating.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're telling them they need to fix their emulation capabilities kind of shows that I feel like it's not going to work, because they obviously missed a lot of stuff when even incorporating these games into it. Like we said, where they said, you don't have the N64 system to save. It's like they didn't care initially when they did this. Unless this is a big miss and drop and they apologize for it, I don't think we'll see too much of a fix at all. At least I feel like it, because they are very, very anti-emulating.
I agree with 90% of what you said. I think that the only way that they're going to fix it is that if this affects the vast majority of the people that got it, and 90% of them are pissed off. I think that's the only way they're going to be like, all right, well, we're going to lose money from this. Let's go ahead and do, because that's what they did here. Let's be real. It's an organization at the end of the day. They just gave you the absolute bare minimum, so that way they can make a profit from barely doing anything. That's what they did. Yeah. I mean, because again, you have other organizations and independent workers and technicians and stuff that make emulation systems that do better than what Nintendo already tried to do. Like, this has been around, and then of course, if Nintendo gets a hold on it, then they put a lawsuit on there, or have them take it off, take it down. So obviously, they've been, as you mentioned, they're super anti-emulation. But it's just like,
especially those with the Nintendo game, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, and that's the thing, is that it's one thing if that never existed and this is the first attempt, then I'd be like, okay, that makes a little sense. People have already been doing this legally and illegally, mainly illegally, because you already know if Nintendo doesn't approve it, it's a no-go.
There's a lot of stuff where I saw beforehand where people were trying to make, like, just to kind of point out the fact that people were making their own version of, like, Pokemon games in a way, like, so they're not being like an actual Pokemon game, but they still shut them down because they are just that against, like, people trying to mimic, copy, or even emulate. It's ridiculous, and they're just going to do what they're going to do. So to Nintendo, I guess good job on ruining people's childhood again.
No, people. I mean, at the end of the day, if they patch this and at least make it a decent working standpoint, for some people this is still enough. For me, it's not even close to enough. They need to remaster these games and do something major with this. Like, I don't. Because that's all it is just bringing N64 to the current gen consoles. That is all they did with the addition of online play. Like, go ahead and give me some voice support so I can actually talk with you versus having to do a Discord chat or call you. You know what I mean? Give me that at least. I don't know.
Yep, I can agree with that. Or at least, hey, it's like, I understand the past, but, like, where's the GameCube games?
Exactly. Give me
like,
that bloody roar.
Nine Ball said it beforehand. Give me some Metroid. Bring out that Metroid stuff. Get us ready for when 4 comes out, if you're even working on it still.
Yeah. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. But what's not a shame is
There's our hate.
It is a shame, but what's not a shame, if you guys had clicked on this, you probably did, because if you're on YouTube, you probably noticed the thumbnail, and that is the unexpected state of play, which is story number 2. Gabe Gerwin from GameSpot quotes, Sony will be holding the next PlayStation State of Play presentation, essentially its version of the Nintendo Direct, on October 27th, which is tomorrow. This is roughly 20-minute presentation that will be focused on third-party partners for both PS4 and PS5, and you'll be able to watch the whole thing right as soon as it airs. Here's how to watch the State of Play stream. You guys can go to the GameSpot article for that. The next State of Play presentation will air on Wednesday, it's all there. 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is fairly standard for Sony, which doesn't usually do presentations in the morning like Nintendo does. To watch the presentation, you can go to the official PlayStation Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube channels, and the stream is also embedded below, which is also on the GameSpot page. So what could be shown at this presentation? Well, don't get your hopes up for first-party games like God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West. You shouldn't expect too many brand new game announcements, as Sony says it will mostly focus on previously revealed games. That could mean a new look at games like Final Fantasy 16 or possibly upcoming Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Collection. However, there will be, quote, a few reveals, end quote, from third-party partners. What those will be remains a mystery. End story. So here's the thing. All right, so we haven't heard anything about Final Fantasy 16. I know I talk about this all year long. We haven't heard anything about Final Fantasy 16. This is a little glimpse of it, and I guess there's another article saying that, oh, well, we might get something because Final Fantasy Square Enix had updated their website that has the Final Fantasy information on there. I beg to differ. I would love Final Fantasy 16 to show up tomorrow. In my semi-professional opinion, there's no way this is showing up tomorrow. There's no way this is showing up tomorrow. It's too small of a showcase to show something that huge and that anticipated. There's absolutely no way this is showing up tomorrow. I think that I think if anything, the earliest we would see Final Fantasy 16, which is not looking good for my fantasy gaming league, by the way, but the earliest that we'll see Final Fantasy 16 is probably going to be at the Video Game Awards. That's when I think we'll see it. I don't think we're going to see it tomorrow. You have any thoughts about that?
I have to kind of agree. I feel like a state of a play is too much. Is too short and too fast for it. I feel like the big announcement would be probably at VGA, unless they're that desperate.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't think it would be a desperate move, but I don't think it would be the right move because it's just like this has been a rumored game for so long. People have been wanting this. He's shown it at the event last year, and that was the only information we had about it. So I think at this point, if you want to get some promotional out there, you put it on the same platform with Jeff Keighley, and that would be something that's very similar to Summer Game Fest, which in this case he runs VGAs. And at the past Summer Game Fest, he showed off Elden Ring. So and Final Fantasy 16 is to that same caliber. Like it's up there on the same degree. So I do think that it could be at VGAs. I don't think it'll be tomorrow. I'll be shocked. I'll be happy if it's tomorrow. But I don't think it will be. What I do think we'll see, which also, side note, by the way, we are going to be streaming our reaction to that tomorrow. The reactors to that, I'm going to be there. But everybody else for ALWT Gaming right now is still pending. As we are seeing, you might see this lovely, handsome of a gentleman right over here pop up. Yep, I'm talking to you. But if not, then yeah, like I said, it'll be me and possibly a special guest. We'll have a good time. We're going to watch some what PlayStation has to offer. But what I do think that we might see is I think we're going to see Blood Hunt. That the Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale, whatever. I think we're going to see some of that. They did mention that we're going to see some Little Devil Inside, so we're going to see a little bit of that. And I think we're going to see some Stray. I think they're going to show that there. I don't know. I can't think of any other third-party games that they showed at the PlayStation event. But I do think that we might see Blood Hunt, and I do think that we might see well, I know we're going to see the Little Devil Inside, and I think we might see Stray. New IPs that is on the table. We're going to see something new. I don't know how many new things we're going to see. But yeah, I'm telling you, man, if they come out with the Bloody Roar or the Bouncer or something like that, I will be ecstatic. Also, on top of that, going back to the Final Fantasy 16 conversation, would you even consider, like, the studio's not a PlayStation exclusive, but the game is, because that's a console exclusive and it's coming to PC. So with that being said, that's even more reason why I'm thinking that's not going to be here, because this is supposed to be highlighting third-party games. That's something that's going to be on everything. So, and of course, Nineball is in the chat saying maybe Silent Hill. Get out of here, Nineball. It's not going to be. It is not going to be no Silent Hill, man.
Nineball. Glad you could catch us on your break there, buddy. I would love a Silent Hill announcement, but I think that would be about as wishful thinking as Final Fantasy 16 showing up there too.
Yep, I agree.
Just to say,
as much as that pains me, I agree.
It's been paining you all year, bro.
It has been, man. I took a swing for the fence.
Swing for the fence, and the pitcher didn't even wind up yet. Good Lord. But I feel like it's going to be more towards the what was I going to say? Definitely towards third party and maybe some tech stuff. Maybe we'll get more on the the NVMe um, listings, or maybe a finalization of it, some form of updates, maybe. It sounds like this is just going to be like a pre-announcement to the VGAs.
Mhm.
Kind of getting the last minute details in, and then we'll get the rest of the announcements, the big stuff at the VGA Awards. So at that point in time, I definitely would say we probably may hear something about Final Fantasy 16 then. Other than that, I mean, I'm kind of going into this one just if I'm able to be on for it, kind of just like with an open mind, just to see what they're just gonna do. So I'm not expecting a huge hype.
Same
I'm not
here.
expecting a fall. I'm just expecting like kind of like a press conference release type of thing. And maybe if I get like a little ooh or ah, it's gonna be one of those just
Yeah, and
those
that's the thing is that most of the when it's a state of play, it's been good. It hasn't been amazing. It's always been good though. Like to see Horizon Forbidden West and see what that's about. To see, was it a Deathloop state of plays that they had, or was it a different? I mean, Deathloop's been everywhere, so I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't. But it's just like they showed several different state of plays this year, and they've all been pretty entertaining
I
for the
think
most
was
part.
a death loop.
Yeah. Um, I got a question for you. Before we're going
Oh.
over to the next story, do you think we're going to see PlayStation VR 2?
I've been hearing about it. I mean, that feels like it would also be a VGA announcement
You think so?
because VR is definitely starting to come forward a lot. Although I think I've heard of some issues with Oculus recently.
Mm.
Um, it's not been something I can confirm. I've heard some on and off things, but I feel like VR 2 would be a big announcement, especially with how well the PS5 is going with like its capabilities, graphics, load times and everything. I feel like a VR 2, especially if anyone's played on the older VRs, for the system. I myself have never played on those because I didn't like how the setup was. I feel like they've probably got enough to where they've advanced it to where I might look into it this time, depending upon what people say. Um, but I, if they do anything, it probably just maybe be announcement saying that they're working on it. That's something that they're playing with. That they're I say playing with, but it's a state of play. Anyways,
State of play. I see what you did there.
I mean, you gotta make sure it works. I mean, so how else better to work it than play it? Like, get
Exactly.
off my server, Bobby. I'm testing the VR 2. Shut up, Tom.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Do you think that we'll see that Grand Theft Auto trilogy collection that they recently announced again?
to be honest, they probably would maybe make a small announcement, but I don't feel like it's going to be anything huge.
Yeah.
It's more just like, hey, look what we're doing, Grand Theft Auto trilogy. I'm gonna be like, okay, yay, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I see you over there laughing about VR, Nine Ball. He's in the chat going, VR, ha. Soon it'll be Ready Player One.
Very soon. Do you have any more commentary about the event that's going to be happening with PlayStation tomorrow for third party?
Actually, I'm kind of interested to see who they're going to announce, like in terms of third party games and all, like what they're going to show. Because I'm kind of with Nine Ball on it. It's like I've been kind of looking more into the third party groups now because I feel like they're because of people like you've seen people branching out from the companies and all, especially with recent events going on in certain companies, in situations and aspects and lawsuits,
Mm.
that there are probably people branching out and going outwards and maybe making their own games or creating out their own small groups and doing their own thing. So I feel like uh, the industry has got enough talent to where there's a lot of groups coming forward able to make very good games um, that are indie based. So I'm actually kind of curious to see what they're going to announce and what genre it's going to be in, because I like to play a lot of different games, but I do have my own preferences. So, but I'm still very curious to see what they're going to do because I do like getting those indie games and those early access games, because those a lot of times are a lot of fun depending upon how well they're built or how well they've done the story. So, that's I look at a lot of things. How well does it play out in terms of game mechanics? How is it the story wise? Graphics wise, it could still be pixel based and still be a fantastic game.
Not to me.
So Yes, we know, hater.
No, I'm just bougie when
He
it comes to my gaming now.
he can't go old school, guys. He
I
can't.
can if I was with it. Like if that style is old school and it's brought in 2021, I have a weird, like, my mind is just weird when it comes to that stuff. But if it was originally like back in the day and I decided to go ahead and pick, like, play it now, that's just me just waiting years later to play it. So
Yeah, and there's people who are like that. I understand, but I can still stand a good top down 16 16-bit pixel games. So I still enjoy those ones. Like I said, so long as the mechanics and story are very good. So I'm interested to see what these companies have got. And to be honest, that's just what people have been making on, like, I've seen on Steam stores and all. But what we see with third parties with with PlayStation and Xbox and all is they've got some really good 3D games coming, or some games that based on 3D modeling because they've had access to sites like Blender or
mhm.
um, Autodesk, Adobe Autodesk. I think if I remember, it was one of them, or Maya was one of the main programs I remember for 3D
Yeah,
modeling.
I remember
When I was
Maya.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, when I was doing my, I have a background in 3D environment and modeling. Unfortunately, I never get going with it. But I still remember it, and so there's a lot that people can do nowadays with these 3D programs to make their own games or do their own stuff with their own assets and all. So I am very interested to see what they're going to do and who they're going to announce that has gotten Sony's attention, for these things.
Well, you know
So,
who does got Sony's attention is more Horizon Forbidden West, baby. Let's go. Story number 3. Before I dive into that, any representatives of Blue Point, if you guys are listening to this or hearing this, reach out to me at least we try.game@gmail.com. I'll give you all Mildewey's information so that way he can work for you guys and make some really impressive backgrounds. I know my boy's talented. He's just being modest. But anyway, going on over to Horizon Forbidden West. James Gusayo, I probably butchered that, and I apologize from Game Informer. We got a solid glimpse at Horizon Forbidden West improved combat / exploration system during Sony's State of Play earlier this year. New gadgets and visual cues give Aloy an unprecedented level of freedom to maneuver around the open world, as well as being bring down humanoid and machine enemies. The second in a series of developer updates. A recent post in the official PlayStation blog delves into how Horizon Forbidden West various mechanics emphasize player choice like never before. This time around, lead system designer David McMullen and lead combat designer Dennis Zopfi have taken to the main stage to discuss what makes Forbidden West gameplay so deep and satisfying. Now that Aloy can climb freely, swim underwater, glide with her shield wing, and grapple certain sections of the terrain, movement is more streamlined and fluid. Of course, this design choice was not made lightly. McMullen says that Guerrilla Games wanted to empower the player in a nuanced ways. Quote, our traversal design decisions were always in service of increasing dynamic interactivity with the world around you. This could be to empower the player to manipulate and destroy their environment with a tool like the Pullcaster, or grapple launching into a glide with the shield wing to set yourself up for a strike from above. What excites us most is how our mechanics, new and old, synergistically interact with each other to provide varied and dynamic approaches to any scenario and story. So I'm before I even have any commentary on this, I'm gonna go on over to Forbidden West. Number one fan in the entire United States of America and Austria and some parts of Greenland, Mil Dewey Carrot.
way to overhype me, man. selling a rotten potato for like gold. Jesus.
I do what I can, you know what I mean? You put it up and I put the spike down.
I just can't wait for this game. Like what they've shown us, even with what they showed at the last announcement with the video and all with Aloy say, I've already forgotten his name, but just with that combat and just with the interactions and the advancements that they've shown with the different style of weaponry or inclusions of old weaponry but new advances on it, it's just exciting to get to play this next step in Aloy's journey. Like when they originally did Horizon Zero Dawn, like I remember getting to the very end of it, and I'm like, this game has got to have a sequel. Like just the ending of it is like, there's got to be a sequel. And now that they've done this announcement before, and they've shown us this ability of what's in this game, it's going to be fantastic. I can guarantee you I'm going to be taking time off just to play this game. Like, it's scheduled to come out February 18th of 2022, and that weekend is going to be reserved.
Facts.
Don't try and call me. Don't, I mean, call me just to see if I'm alive, but that's about it, But the fact that they've added in the elements of swimming underwater, gliding around, increased grapple movements around, free climbing, especially now. I really want to know how that's going to work with it. Like, are they going to be very realistic with that free climbing? Is it going to be just full free climbing? Or is it going to be more realistic towards, like, if you have a ledging and you can jump around to it, that type of free climbing, so long as it makes sense, because I remember in Zero Dawn, like, climbing to the very tops of a tower just to get an item, just to get that power suit, to get the shielding arm. Excuse me, sorry about that, guys. To get the shielding armor in that game, which was a very good armor, but damn, just to get it was like a lot of searching. But that's stuff that they did, and the fact that they've increased this world and given us more to do makes me very excited to explore this world and see what they're going to put into it, to see what they're going to do. So I really cannot wait for this. Like I said, from what they've shown, beautiful graphics, gameplay that they showed looks solid, has a good feel of being back in the Horizon universe. New mechanics and techniques for Aloy, so definitely increasing on what they did originally, and obviously a whole brand new story that I cannot wait to delve into, especially with the way the Horizon Zero Dawn ended. So I am stoked.
Facts. I'm right there with you, man. I'm very excited about this game. I cannot wait for it to come out. I'm very curious to see how the plot is going to be. It already looked... The PlayStation event, which was just a normal stream, it wasn't even a 4K stream, looked breathtaking. The only criticism that I had was just actually opposite of what other people were talking about. I know some people were like, why does Aloy look weird? I thought she looked fine. She wasn't as feminine as she was in the first one. But again, like, put yourself in her shoes. She's in an environment where she has to be strong. Otherwise, she's gonna die. You know what I mean? So I think that, I don't know. I think people's criticism on how she looked was flawed. But
I saw no issues with the way she looked.
Yeah,
what you say makes sense. Though it's like, you gotta remember, guys, this is a post-apocalyptic world. You're not gonna look like a femme fatale, just like slinky, like right, like, oh yeah. It's like, no, like, you're gonna have the muscles to like deck a guy. Like, unless you're one thing I could say, especially if you paid attention in Zero Dawn, is when you're back at the main village with Aloy, is you could kind of see a difference between the warriors and the people who just stayed at home and did like the house care and all. Like, you could definitely tell the difference between their characters. But the thing with this world is that both men and women are warriors. So you're not going to have one or the other, So Aloy being who she is, an adventurer, explorer, going out and doing those survival and fighting, her physique makes sense completely.
100%.
Like, the way that they say it's like, oh, she needs to look a certain way. I'm like, no, she does not. Aloy is Aloy.
Yeah.
All you need to know.
The only criticism that I had was when the hair would go back and forth, it went through some stuff that it shouldn't have went through. Now, that's just me, like, looking really, really, really into it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a video game.
I've seen... just from what I remember from past, and like, this is 10 years old information, what I did, his hair follicles are really, really hard to do most of the times. Now, nowadays, they have the capability of doing some very advanced stuff. So it could have been a glitch, maybe something with however it was streaming or whatnot. But to be honest, that's like a very, very, like, you're criticizing it to the finite.
It's the most minute. Yeah, it's a very minute.
The most minute details. Like, you're like scrutinizing down to that micro point. But all in all, with what they've done so far, I just can't wait.
I can't wait either, man. I can't wait either. And things that we didn't know that we can't wait for either. but is going to be existing is A Quiet Place. Yeah, the movie is getting a new IP. Marcus Stewart from Game Informer says a video game based on its hit horror film franchise, A Quiet Place, is in the works. The upcoming title comes from Saber Interactive and Illogica, and is coming sometime in 2022, so just next year. If you're familiar with the movies, they're set in a post-apocalyptic Earth overtaken by blind yet powerful monsters that are highly sensitive to sound. The creatures have wiped out most of the humanity viciously hunt anything that generates noise. So survivors have to adapt by living in complete silence. Precautions include maintaining isolation from other humans and using sign language to communicate. A Quiet Place hit theaters in 2018, and his sequel, A Quiet Place Part 2, premiered in May of this year, both critically acclaimed. So I have yet to actually watch A Quiet Place, but looking at this, I am kind of like, we had some speculation off stream about what this could be. And before we even had our speculation, before that, I was watching a few other streams, and one that I watch all the time is Kind of Funny Games Daily, KFGD, and Blessing was under the impression that this might actually be like a World War Z type style game, but instead of going up there and shooting and all that stuff, you're trying to be quiet. You might have some stealth pistols, possibly. You might have like knives and daggers or whatever, but he thinks that the primary purpose of the game, how I interpreted it, the primary purpose of the game is to be stealthy, is to be quiet, is to try to get by and get through the obstacles, possibly co-op with your friends. I can see that. I know you had a different approach there, Mildew, and if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, so I actually have two, kind of like, so thinking about it now, it's like, so the first approach I had when I originally thought of this was, if anyone's ever played Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th, it's where it's like, it's pretty much just going to be a multiplayer co-op game where it's like you're being hunted by a hunter, which is one of the aliens, and your team is trying to get out and survive, so you have to be quiet. The reason it reminds me of this is because if I remember right from Dead by Daylight and from Friday the 13th, is that if you make sounds or noises in a lot of those games, it tends to trigger, especially in Friday the 13th, it will actually trigger something that the hunter can see more and can easily go after you faster with. So it sounds kind of like it could go that way. Actually, Nineball in the chat says sounds like Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
That was my second thing. Is kind of like, it reminds me of now Alien Isolation, which is where you're not really fighting the aliens in this game. You're pretty much just going through trying to hide from them and survive through it to get to the end point of the story that you're in. Which also kind of reminds me of A Plague's Tale as well. It's just where you're doing the same thing. It's like you're trying to hide and keep away from things that really could kill you that you have no strength against. So your goal is mainly just to really hide and maneuver around them and get away from them, or use obstacles or environments to kill them or get them away from you. So I feel like it's going to be within that aspect. So I kind of agree with the Kind of Funny games that it's not going to be a game where you're like going balls to the wall, shooting them and all. It's going to be a very stealthy game. Now, whether or not it's going to be multiplayer or have story-based, that's depending upon the company and what they decide to do. But I feel like they could go either way with this IP.
I agree. And I do think that the Alien Isolation is a really good point out there. Because, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they decided, how they decided to style this game. And we're just going to have to wait just a little bit longer for that announcement to officially happen, for us to see a teaser trailer, maybe some gameplay. But before we go on over story number 5, you guys know how to do it. Raise energy drinks. Make sure you guys are making sure you guys are getting your raise
the drink.
Yep, raise your drinks, raise your spirits, raise the power. Do you feel me? If you guys go to Rep Sports, REPP sports.com, type in ALWT Gaming, you guys get 15% off your Raise Energy, your water supplements, your workout powders, the whole nine. That is your Raise Energy drinks. Like I said, they have a lot of good flavors. I'm an advocate for them. I get Raise Energy drinks almost all the time. As you guys probably saw me streaming just now, I was actually just drinking Sprite, which is obviously not Raise Energy. But definitely, I did actually run out. But yeah, some good stuff. You guys can go ahead and go to Rep Sports, REPPsports.com, type in ALWT Game. You guys can also get little shirts. I got like a little Raise Energy drink coaster thing, like a little, I guess coaster is the best way to put it, which is wrapped up on my Sprite right now. But it's pretty delicious. They got watermelon frost, they got guava mango, they got sour gummy worms. You know what I mean? If you guys like gummy worms, that's the way to go. Raise energy drinks, raise your spirits, raise the roof.
Now, just to kind of step in there a bit, Malachi, I'm okay letting you take the spotlight for this one, but yeah, you kind of like cut me out of the stream there.
Yeah, no, I did it. I did it for the raise energy drink.
Okay, I want to make sure on that. I'm like, I saw that occur on the end because I'm my modding guys. I'm also modding as well, and I'm like, I saw him like, is he doing that on purpose or did he click something that got kicked out?
Yeah,
you know?
I was doing a little beta test just now, as you guys can see live action right there for your anchor listeners. You have to go
front and center.
Yeah. For your anchor listeners, you guys have to go to YouTube to see what he's talking about, or go to our Twitch page. But story number 5. Now I'm going to give the spotlight to you there because this is a game that is near and dear to your heart there. If you don't mind reading story number 5.
Oh, I do believe I will, good sir. I don't know why I did that, but I did it anyways. Kenna is going strong. Hell yeah. Marcus Stewart from Game Informer. Kenna Bridge of Spirits was released in September to largely positive reviews, including a 9 out of 10 from us. It has performed well in sales, so much so that according to developer Ember Labs, the game has already broken even on its development cost.
Game came out last month, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, this came out last month and it's already broken even.
Yeah.
Damn. In an interview with Bloomberg, Ember Labs heads Josh and Mike Greer discussed Kenna's road for development to release. To their surprise, the game has apparently sold well, and while they don't divulge specific sale numbers, they say it's already recouped its initial development costs. It's unclear how much money Ken had behind it, but this is great news for the small studio. It's hard to tell what's a huge success, said Josh in the article. Sony's happy. I definitely agree Sony's happy. I'm pretty sure they saw everything with the, especially from first day stuff, and they popped a bottle of champagne and said, Happy New Year's to us, you know.
Or did they pop a bottle of Raise Energy? You know what I mean? But go ahead. I digress.
Plug away. Anyways, I'm happy for them that they've recouped the cost. But the Kenna was such a great game. I know we had some comments about the endings points, but to be honest, it is their first IP of their own. I feel like they did an amazing job with it, and the fact that they've been recouping and everyone else agrees with it by buying it and keep going strong with it, I'm happy for them. I hope that they will kind of go on and continue on with their thoughts on maybe putting in some DLC with like an extra ending stuff or extra content-wise that they were talking about. I feel like that would definitely kind of like go pretty well with it. Maybe something kind of like along the lines I was thinking of, like if you've ever played, going back to Horizon Zero Dawn, when they launched the Frozen North for that one, it's pretty much it was launched after the game was already released fully, where you could go back and play an extra area that's in there. So maybe they'll do something with that, you know, to kind of expand a bit more on the kind of world. Maybe we'll see. I know they were talking about it. There was no guarantees, but that's my hope. But all in all, good job, Ember Labs. Keep it up. Can't wait to see what else you guys come out with.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm definitely excited about this bit of news. Yeah, good job, Ember Labs. This was a game that I was impressed with by the visuals alone at the PlayStation event last year. Playing it this year, like I knew it was going to be a smaller type game just because it was $30. I don't like now. Not saying it's impossible because it's very possible. Usually, when games are a lesser amount like this, like a smaller title, they don't really have DLC or a lot of DLC. But it would be kind of cool to see them emphasize on this and use this revenue to go ahead and make more content that can expand on it. Make that be paid DLC. I'll buy it. You know what I mean? I'll go ahead and play that. I think 90% of what this game did was absolutely great, fantastic, amazing, and it's different than like it sent a different tone than when you actually played it. Because when we were just watching it, no way would I have thought that this has like Dark Soul-ish elements to it. Like this game was tougher than I thought it was going to be when you first jump on there in a good way. So yeah, so I think, and now of course, yeah, we all went ahead and had our feedback about that a month ago, and I do want them to see more character development with Kena and stuff like that. I felt like I got more of that with the other characters outside of Kena, but if they bring that in DLC or something like that, or like bring out a Kena too, like I'm all for that. I'm very curious to see what the future of Ember Labs is going to be like moving forward.
Oh yeah, definitely. If they can put out another IP that's in a way similar to Kennebrage of Spirits, but has the same, but has a bit longer story to it now,
Mm-hmm.
like something that's got more to it, more meat, more, definitely much more. Like I feel like they could definitely pull it off, especially with the successful of the first IP. Now, people might be saying I'm getting overzealous that this is the first IP and that maybe their next ones will good. As long as they keep the pace, the momentum, keep the team that they had, keep going with it, and take as much time as they need to that they did with this one. I feel like they definitely can pull off another one. You
I
know,
agree. I
even
wholeheartedly
if
agree.
it's another smaller game, they can definitely do it. Maybe just to still keep their feet wet and keep like kind of learning and building as they go. But they've got potential, guys. So they're definitely one to watch for, in my opinion, at least.
One of the games that may have potential is something that came out of left field, which is Xbox Wu Tang RPG in the works. So, yeah, you heard that correctly. Wu Tang. James Carr from GameSpot has a story on here, and it says Xbox is reportedly working with third-party studio to develop an action RPG with a soundtrack made by legendary hip-hop group Wu Tang Clan. The four-person co-op action game is said to feature an anime aesthetic and would be developed by Brass Lion Entertainment. The report comes from the Windows Central and the GamesBeat Decides podcast, both of which independently reported on the upcoming project Shaolin, which was included in the recent NVIDIA leak that included other information like God of War coming to PC and the GTA Trilogy remastered. The game is reportedly to be a third-party co-op action RPG with a focus on melee combat, with a campaign lasting a few dozen hours. Wow. Where the players collect loot like weapons and gear. It also reportedly will receive live service updates and features endgame dungeons. So after reading that, the interpretation of the title that I got the story from is definitely different than I had a thought of. Because when I first heard of it, I was like, Wu Tang video game. This sounds like it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be very Def Jam Fight for New York ish, but RPG elements. Sounded like it's going to be some GTA style. But after reading this, it sounds like it's going to be very medieval ish, but with a rap soundtrack. That's what it sounds like it's going to be, especially with them mentioning endgame dungeons and stuff like that. And I know that's a common term for video games in the RPG element world, but so regardless if it's like a GTA style or not, but still, like after reading this a little bit more thoroughly, I can see that it looks like that Wu Tang is just going to be involved with the music portion of it.
Third person co-op action RPG. I mean, you could definitely go that way, but I'm wondering if they're gonna do something futuristic-ish, maybe. I don't know. I really don't
Mm-hmm.
know because they don't talk about the graphics or the story of it. They just say kind of like what the mechanics are going to be. Definitely a focus on melee combat, which could be anything from fisticuffs to swords, bats, clubs, that sort of thing. Um, Combat with a campaign, where players can collect loot like weapons and gear. Also reported will receive live server updates and feature in-game dungeons, which in-game dungeons would probably lead you back to if you've played like any types of MMORPGs.
Yep.
In a way, um, it kind of feels like that, where it's like you got those raid bosses and all, but like you probably could do that with something like I don't know, like some sort of like underground boss fight dungeon or something. I really am shooting in the dark here, guys, but I feel like they could go either way, and I more or less would like to know about the story. Me personally is like, so it's definitely interesting that they're coming out with it, and if they're doing the music for it, that's going to kind of play off. I feel like with a lot of the visuals, graphics, and the story for it, because sometimes, well, a lot of times what they do is they match the stories to the music to get the mood, to get the feeling and all. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to do this since they announced who is going to be in charge, kind of like only of that music set. So um, can't wait to hear more on this and see how they go.
Yep. Yeah, I'm curious to see what that game's going to be because Now I think about it, there is one game that I can think of that it might actually be Power Rangers. This could be Power Rangers.
Interesting.
You know,
They never announced who was doing the Power Rangers game, did they?
they didn't. They didn't even announce what the game was going to be right now. I know that there's leaks that it was going to be Xbox that's going to be working with them. And
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's kind of funny that they say melee combat only, but I know several of the Rangers have used ranged weapons. You know,
that is something to point out for sure.
That's like it's kind of funny that they say melee combat. You know,
Mm.
when a lot of the Power Rangers, depending upon the color and all, have used
Like
ranged weapons. I know it says focus on melee combat. You know, because they do a lot of fisticuffs. So maybe that's what they're talking about. Maybe they're playing like a little, wordplay on this or something. I don't know. It's just something I wanted to call out because I found it very odd, but I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I mean, now, granted, that one of the things that is a strong word in there that kind of derails that thing is that it's an anime aesthetic, and I don't really think that Power Rangers is necessarily anime-ish, but I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to find out.
I just want to, since they're doing live service updates, if they are doing it like that, I want a Billboards crossover.
Be that. I'm down for it. I'm down for it.
Gotta give me some big bag billboards, guys.
But what you can have is a big bad Kratos on your PC from the 2018 version, which is story number 7. Eddie Mackek from GameSpot. Yes, Sony is bringing on 2018's God of War to PC, and now we know what the studio is handling it. Now we know what studio is handling it. A spokesperson for Sony told Ars Technica that Jetpack Interactive is developing the game, with the original developer Sony Santa Monica overseeing the production. Jetpack Interactive is based in Vancouver and has contributed to a number of EA games, including Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare 2, and NBA Live 2016. The studio has also helped with engineering support for Bandai Namco's Dark Souls. So there you guys go. For anyone that was waiting for God of War on PC, if you don't have a PlayStation, you guys are able to finally get it in next year. I know that's actually not in here, but I know that was something that I read previously that's supposed to be coming out next year. Now, and this is the thing. This is the thing. I know I'm not stupid. I understand that PC gaming is further in tech than console gaming is. I get that. One of the reasons why, though, why console gaming is still important is because you guys are getting the game 4 years later. I played it 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where it's just like, if you don't want to wait, like for me, I wouldn't have been, like, I know Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to PC. It still has yet to be there. I was able to play it last year. It's just one of those, that's what drives me, is what the games that I want and how quickly I can play them. That's ultimately what drives me. If the games I want on Xbox and it's coming first on Xbox, I'm going to Xbox. If it's coming on Nintendo Switch and it's first on Nintendo Switch, I'm going there. If I'm playing on PC it's just where the games are at. Ultimately, all gaming is cool regardless of where you play at, but it's just it comes down to preference, and my preference just lies a lot more typically with PlayStation, and for stories like this, kind of proves it. Does this story do anything? I know you played a little bit of God of War. I know you still have to beat it, but does this story do anything for you as far as a PC, it coming to PC?
I mean, it's interesting that it's coming to PC, so I can't wait to see, to get it on there, the 2018 version on there. And there's maybe then also see kind of what the mod community kind of takes from if they want to do anything to it. So
Probably will.
I'm pretty sure that, like, so I'm always kind of curious to see what they do, but I mean, it's just another access and get more people into it. So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I kind of feel like it's kind of become a common theme nowadays to see these ports to PC. Because yes, a lot of people can have it on console, but then you got those who just would rather run their PC systems. So then they're going to be like, all right, after we release it on console, after several years, then we'll just port it over to the PC aspect, so that way then they can get it, or vice versa, where it launches on PC first and then they'll bring it over into console afterwards. So eventually we'll get to the point where it just launches on everything.
I don't know if we will. Just because at the end
I'm
of the
not
day,
saying now or anytime soonish, but eventually it'll
yeah,
be to the point where it launches on everything. Because eventually, like I said, we'll be Ready Player One, and everyone's going to be online regardless of what system you're on. So to be
yeah,
honest, it won't even be Microsoft Windows or anything. It'll just be one system ruling the world. Now, whether or not it's Windows or Apple, we'll see who wins the fight.
true that.
It reminds me of that South Park episode where we're talking about the PS5s versus the Xbox, and they had to split in the groups and fight. Sorry, random tangent.
Story number 8, save that money. It's not really so much, I mean, it is a story, but it's not so much of a story as it is just a PSA for us to you on some information that we kind of looked into for if you're looking and trying to get inside a 1440 screen for your PC, or some Black Friday deals that's going to be happening in Steam sales. Steve Petit from GameSpot. There are 3 major Steam sales that still to go before 2021 wraps up. Valve typically waits until the last minute to announce Steam sale dates, which leads to those who are anxiously awaiting the avalanche of deals to rely on leaks. Parentheses, the dates almost always leaks. And parentheses. But we won't have to make any.
They do.
we won't have to make any educated guesses this year, as Valve has revealed the dates for Halloween, autumn, and winter sales. Granted, Valve published the dates on Steamworks documentation page, so it wasn't exactly in plain sight. Regardless, there's an upcoming Steam sale scheduled Halloween, which is October 28th through the November 1st, autumn, November 24th through the 30th, and winter, December 22nd through January 5th. Yes, that means the next Steam sale kicks off in 2 days. The Halloween sale, that was... Yeah, 2 days. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
2
days left, guys. 2 days away.
Yeah, I saw 24th, but then I looked down today's the 26th. So I looked back up. It says November 24th. So yeah, the Halloween sale will likely be loaded with horror games for cheap. So if you're looking for a spooky experience to play this weekend, you should definitely check out the discounts. We'll have a roundup of the best Halloween sale deals later this weekend story. That's part 1 of the Save That Money story that we have. Part 2. Alexia McLaughlin from Games Radar quotes, Black Friday 1440p monitor deals are a fantastic place to start if you're looking to pick up one of the best gaming monitors without breaking the bank. A strong middle ground between high fidelity graphics, parentheses, a step up from 1080p, and parentheses, and high performance combined with the best graphics card, it should be easier than ever to handle refresh rates above 120. Amazon trends to hold some of the more substantial Black Friday 1440p monitor deals, especially if last year's is an indication. Take one of our favorite gaming monitors, for instance, the Samsung Odyssey G7, which saw its historically lowest ever price last year's Black Friday sales event. This was reduced down to $599 from its current $799 asking price, as a saving of $200. Newegg was also in the running for some of the better Black Friday 1440p monitor deals too, as a Gigabyte Aorus CV27Q was selling for $370 for $90 off its MSRP. These kind of savings that you expect to make over the Black Friday and Cyber Monday period on the more established brands, but we always say that anything can happen, so be prepared for likely deals, desirable deals, and the plan ridiculous just to be sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there you go ahead.
I was to say, yeah, definitely. We're doing this also in recognition of Nineball, who's not here, who definitely would have given us info too. He's always got the down low and the dirty on those Steam sales and all. But yeah, cannot wait to get some Halloween games coming up. Maybe we can get Malachi on some Phasmophobia finally. Can't wait for the rest of the sales. And then in terms of the Black Friday sales, it's also a good time for anyone who's looking to build or upgrade a PC to get an extra component or something for cheap to kind of keep you up and going and keep you on edge with the current market price. Because as I said, there's a lot of deals that will go out there, especially nowadays, guys, with how hard it is to kind of find some of these components. Like my bro and TBF Abyss and I, we went shopping for some GPUs recently, and it was literally kind of hard to get some of them because they were just so hard out of stock. So coming up here, we're probably going to get some really good deals on some pretty good pizzas out there. Nine Balls coming inside and goes, my wallet is ready. You mean it's nice and fat and ready to go on a diet?
Heard that, man. Heard that.
So definitely look forward to it, guys. Amazon, Newegg are definitely two good places. I prefer Newegg personally. Also, if you guys have it in your area, look up Micro Center. I love them too because those are two sites, two groups that are very tech focused. Not to say Amazon's bad, but it's just because Amazon has so many different retailers on there that you could possibly be getting something that is an open box item, and that can be very finicky when you buy it. It's a used item, so you don't know what they've done to it, or if they were using for bit farming, which nowadays is very realistic with GPUs. So I definitely don't recommend open boxes for them.
Yeah, I was about to say definitely some stuff. I mean, obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday, even Green Monday, which I think has kind of fell off a bit, but Cyber Monday, Black Friday are typically steal deals. You guys will definitely want to be on the lookout for stuff like that. I might be looking at something possibly. I did go ahead and get quite a few stuff for quality of life in my real life, so I don't know if I will be able to splurge like I was planning to at the beginning of the year, but we shall see.
If not, this year, next year, guys.
Yeah, always next year.
It comes around every year.
Mm-hmm.
New stuff, new tech, new toys. You never know what you'll find.
A few quick little things to look up. I know right here is something that I actually am interested in, which I want to bring up to you guys, that Payday 3 is being worked on, but won't be out anytime soon. Hey, Kai! Hey! You want to say hi to the people?
He's got to
say hi.
Oh, there's the rising star.
Say hi.
What's up, Kai?
You okay?
He's like,
He's
I'm
like,
on the spot now.
Yeah. But yeah, Payday 3 is being worked on again, but won't be easily out soon. James O'Connor is the one that writes up that story. I'm not going to read that story, but you guys can go to GameSpot.com and take a look at that. And then also something that I thought was kind of interesting too as well was that was actually this is the first month, I guess. Hey, this is the first month, I guess, that the PlayStation Plus games have not been leaked for November. So we don't know what they're going to be just yet. Yeah, so we'll have to kind of take a look at that, and we'll have to be patient. But anyone that's currently wanting to get those those plus games, exactly. Anyone that wants to get those plus games, you guys are going to have until this Monday to get them because it restarts next week. October's already almost over. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
no, it's not.
Yeah. Exactly. You tell him, Kai. But yeah, that actually does it for us on All Things Gaming episode 70, 2021. Tomorrow, just a reminder, we are going to be streaming to the PlayStation event that's happening. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. You tell them where to find us. No? Okay. So make sure you guys are checking us out on Twitch and YouTube. The other, and then that's going to be at 5 p.m. is when that's going to be going live. You guys can also check us out on Smite Night on Thursdays, which is going to start a little earlier. And then this Saturday is going to be our 9 to 5 segment. So be on the lookout for all of that. Do you have any closing statements there, Mildew, before we dip on out?
Besides the fact that kid is shooting up like a freaking weed, No, just stay safe, guys. Be careful out there and enjoy gaming. That's what we're here for, to give you some gaming news and all, but also to tell you just enjoy it, love it, relax. Don't be toxic. Just live your best life and have fun.
All right. Well, we hope to see you guys tomorrow. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we're going to be watching that PlayStation stream. We'll see what they have to offer, what news, what new games we have to look forward to. And then we hope to see, if not, we're going to see you guys on Thursday and or Saturday. And if you miss all of that, We're here again next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please make sure you guys are following us and checking out our social media platforms such as Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. Just type in ALWT Gaming, which stands for At Least We Try Gaming. You guys can also go to our website, www.alwtgaming.com, where we have all of our social media content in one hub location. So if you forget everything I just said, or if I spoke too quickly, you guys can go to www.alwtgaming.com, where all of that lives. Until next time, everybody, Control, Alt,
Complete.
Peace'ems.